there was a quote, someone on social media that mentioned that tradition, holds us kind of captive or slave to our ancestors. Right. There's not a lot of growth from that. But the guys on the LIV, some of the guys on the LIV tour, they don't care about how many wins. They don't care about the trophies. And it is really reflecting how life is today.
Yeah.
When you look at the NBA, it's people moving around. It's what we cared about before. We don't care about now.
For years, the golfing world has been dominated by the PGA. There have been other leagues all over the world, but when it comes to the best of the best, it was the PGA, and it wasn't even close. Well, now there's a new kid on the block, and it's LIV. LIV is kicking butt and taking names and taking players each and every day, it seems. We've got our golfing insider here, Ian Peterson, to discuss exactly what's going on, how LIV came about, how LIV and the PGA can coexist, and also what is next. All right, Ian, thank you for joining us today, man. Kind of tell us a little bit as far as what you do, how you got into, the PGA and golf type of stuff. Kind of give us your background as that is concerned.
All right. So my background isn't in golf.
I got you.
It isn't in golf. It all started when I couldn't do anything else, right?
All right.
When it was painful to play basketball,
sure,
football, anything like that. I picked up the game of golf. I would say in my mid 30s.
Okay,
chasing that white ball around on the course, but I love it, and those who don't play golf, who doesn't think that it's a sport that we play or that we can play, I suggest you get into it. It's very fun. It's very competitive. The camaraderie is great. It's unlike any other.
Absolutely. So, and that's my thing is like, I don't play golf a lot. I mean, every now and then, but I don't take it serious, because I'm not the guy that's going to be out there furious if I can't hit, the ball strike. I'm just like, you know what? I hit the ball and it went 50 yards. Let's go track it down. As long as it can go somewhat straight, I'm okay with it, man. So,
exactly.
Because I'm at that point in my life where I know I'm not good at it, and I'm not. I can't get frustrated when I know I'm not good. I think I'm too old for that.
Yeah. So my best rounds of golf is when I'm having fun.
There you go.
I tell people that all the time. Have fun. If you're playing in a tournament, it's a charity tournament, and you're not in the office. You're not in the office. The weather is great. It's often beautiful out there, and you're doing it for charity.
Absolutely.
Right? So just have fun. If you hit the ball well, great. If you don't worry about it. Move on.
There you go. So, man, let's get into this a little bit. Tell us about this LIV tournament. From my understanding, I don't even want to get into what my understanding is. I just know it's a competitive association that's competing against the PGA Tour that we all have seen and known forever. And there really hasn't been, not to my knowledge, another organization this big that has competed against it. So kind of give us what LIV is and doing.
So LIV is a Saudi Arabia-backed golf league, right? In direct competition to the PGA Tour. Right, PGA Tour has been around, we know, for decades. It's the professional golf event. You have other tours, around the globe, but PGA is the standard. When it comes to everything. When it comes to revenue, when it comes to trophies. When it comes to money, the PGA Tour is it. But the Saudi-backed LIV Tour is in direct competition, and they have money to do it.
Gotcha.
They have the money to do it, and the money has lured some big names away from the PGA Tour, right? And you may have heard that, it's these guys are older. But if you look at it, that's not the case. I think their average age and the average age of the PGA Tour, it's right there.
Right.
It's neck to neck. It's like 34 and a half years to 35 years. And they have pulled some big names. So imagine a league in direct competition to the NFL with unlimited money and unlimited resources, and they were able to pull or to lure away like a Patrick Mahomes, right?
Absolutely.
Or even an older guy like like a Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had all these other top players that they were able to lure away, and they created their own league. And you know what? You can go to a game, you can go to a tour event, and you can see every single one of them every single time. And it's not a 17-game season; it's 18-game season.
Right.
So just imagine that from an NFL standpoint. That's what PGA Tour has to deal with the LIV Golf Tour.
Gotcha. Yeah, because the last that I had checked, they had snatched away the number 2 player in the world at the time.
Cam Smith, I believe.
Yes.
And right off of major win. Off of a major win.
Yes. And I'm just like, man, I'm like, because at first, again, I'm the casual golf guy. I mean, I will watch the majors. I pay attention to a couple of tournaments like the Byron Nelson because it's not far from my house here in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
They just built the PGA of America. Literally, it's within a mile from my house, right down the street.
Mm-hmm.
So I pay attention a little bit. But then when I saw that, I'm like, hold on a second. This is serious business because the number 2 player in the world is usually not somebody that's jumping ship to anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, usually it's kind of what you said. Everybody thought it's older guys that are a little bit past their prime that aren't competing at the top levels anymore. And then they start throwing this money around. And that was, you're right. That's not the case at all. That's not the case at all, man. And it just forced the PGA to kind of change what they're doing because they got stale for so long, and they had to change what they were doing. Kind of give us the background on what the PGA did to try to compete with what LIV is doing.
So one of the biggest complaints of the PGA or about the PGA was the money that was being made, or the money or lack thereof that was being spread around. Right. So think about the effort that it takes to not only play in a PGA event, but you also have to travel, the preparation. You have caddies and things like that. That's a cost. And if you don't make the cut, you don't make any money. Right. So you spent money, but you didn't make anything.
Right.
And the LIV Golf Tour, they do not have a cut. Right. So you're guaranteed to make an income. Plus, you have your sign-on bonus. So, one of the top golfers in the world, Dustin Johnson, one of my favorite golfers, his signing bonus was what, $125 million?
Yes.
And he made on top of that $35 million.
Yes.
eight events. Right. Yep. So you have, and the way these events are set up, you have your individual earnings and then you have your team earnings.
Right.
So between those things, he made $35 million in 8 events, and no one on the PGA Tour came close to that.
Correct.
Cam Smith, you mentioned Cam Smith. He played, I forgot how many. I know he played in 5 LIV Golf events, made about $7 million. And he came on towards the end.
Right.
I think he made $10 million in the PGA Tour.
Right.
Playing in maybe 10 events. And the majority of the money that was made was between 2 events. He won the major, right? The US, the Open, the British Open. And then he won another event, the Players Championship.
Right.
So between those two, that was like $7 million that he won out of the 10. But he played LIV Golf, 5 events, $10 million, somewhere around there, $7 million. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's absolutely. And you hate to say that it's all about the money, but recognition is one thing, but it's a livelihood. It's your job. Yeah. And, money is a huge impact, man. And I know I've read some things, the PGA has said, well, if it's about money, we can't compete. But my thing is, you got to make it more attractive to stay, versus just saying, well, we can't compete. Well, at least try. And I think that kind of gets into where the beef between the two is. But you tell me, because obviously you know a little bit more about it, because obviously there's a beef. What is the beef between the two?
Without getting political.
Absolutely.
Right? Without getting political, there's some things that the Saudi Arabia government that and some of the things that are backing the LIV Golf has done that we over in the States do not agree with. That's one thing. But we can get a lot deeper. Even talking about wrongs here in the U.S. Right?
Yeah.
So, that's why I don't want
to go down that road. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's not where I was trying to go with it.
Yeah. But that's where the beef started, right?
Okay.
So when you remember when Phil Mickelson started to talk about LIV Golf, and how can you do that? It was a lot around that. You don't hear it now as often,
right?
But it does come up. But I want to kind of stay away from that. But that was the first thing that came up. The second is the money, right?
Right.
You have some guys that they're traditionalists.
Sure.
Right? It's the trophies, the majors, and you have other guys that really don't care about that. You know what they care about? Having the living that
generational wealth.
The generational wealth, right? So they probably won't participate on the Champions Tour because they don't need to participate on the Champions Tour. They made their money. The kids don't have to. So when you look at a Dustin Johnson versus a Rory McIlroy, or Jordan Spieth or Justin Thomas, they may care about the tradition of golf.
Mm-hmm.
You talk to a lot of guys that are part of the PGA of America, they keep talking about the tradition. And there was a quote, someone on social media that mentioned that tradition, holds us kind of captive or slave to our ancestors. Right. There's not a lot of growth from that. Mm-hmm. But the guys on the LIV, some of the guys on the LIV Tour, they don't care about how many wins. They don't care about the trophies. And it is really reflecting how life is today.
Yeah.
When you look at the NBA, it's people moving around. It's what we cared about before, we don't care about now.
That's right.
What we do care about is entertainment. We care about the money.
Yep.
And you have guys on the PGA Tour that's understanding that now, right? So you have your major tournaments, and then once LIV really started to be a threat to the PGA Tour, they start having those private meetings, right? Those player-only type meetings.
Yeah.
And they came out with a couple things. So they had like this second tier of events where the top golfers in the world guaranteed to be at. So you can go to these events and you can see the best golfers in the world that's playing on PGA Tour, just like in the LIV Golf, right? There's no cut. There's the best golfers in the world.
Right.
And you guarantee to see them at every single event. So the PGA is going to do the same thing with these second tier events. They also have this player program, which is very interesting, just to qualify for those events. A lot of it is based upon how many times your name comes up in like Google searches, your social media presence. They are including those things because that's the world that we live in now.
Sure.
So it's funny. So when they looked at those numbers, I believe in 2022, guess who was on top of that they call it a PIP, that PIP list?
Mm-hmm.
And Tiger Woods. It's like Tiger Woods, Rory McIlroy. Now we know Tiger's not going to be playing,
right?
But the impact that he's had and continue to have in the game of golf, to me, is part of the reason why we're here, because we missed that excitement.
Right.
We're not getting that excitement of Tiger Woods versus the field.
Right.
Tiger Woods winning back-to-back tournaments. It's
not there.
We need something to fill that space.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now we're here.
He was just so good for so long. And kind of what we talked about a little bit before we got on is just, the impact of what he had is why golfers are making the type of money that they make right now is because of Tiger Woods and all that sponsorship and endorsements and stuff like that. I mean, that's a huge reason on why golf is popular. I'm not saying it wasn't popular before him, but it skyrocketed once he came onto the scene. It just did. I mean, with all demographics too, all different demographics. So, what he did for golf is absolutely insane.
It's amazing. Just think about, what was it, the 99-2000 run? Winning 8 tournaments, 9 tournaments.
Yes.
We don't see that.
No, you don't.
We don't see that. We have to look at other guys as a cumulative to see, and
Correct.
It's still not even a comparison. You know?
Well, and not only that, I mean, the number of tournaments that are on TV. I mean, golf is on a lot, but it's kind of what we were talking about earlier and what you mentioned. All the guys weren't playing. I mean, you didn't see. I mean, of a normal golf tournament, there might be 3 guys that you recognize on a weekly basis. I mean, it's not wasn't enough. It's not enough. So
it's not enough. So think about it this way. You know, they were talking about the attendance at LIV events versus the PGA events. Now, the setup is different. So the setup on LIV Golf is it's what's called a shotgun. Okay. Everybody starts at the same exact time, just on different holes. Versus the PGA, there's tee times. So everybody's starting on hole 1.
I got you.
And normally the ones that are playing the best, they have the later tee times, then everybody follows them. Right? And what happens is that you see the massive crowds around them versus LIV Golf, where it's spread out because everybody is a top golfer.
There you go.
Everybody's a top golfer. So it may not look as crowded or as much people there, you know, but then we'll see. We'll see what happens in 2023, because now they have the TV deal with the CW, which they didn't have last year.
No, they did not. And that's what I was going to say. That was going to be my next question. Can they coexist, especially after the new TV deal? Because it's only going to get bigger, you know, if they can continue to coexist. And if they got a TV deal, now they're going to start making money, because before they were just losing money, throwing money into it. Well, now they can start making some money, because if you get TV deals, advertising, can they both exist at the same time?
I think they can. And the reason why I say that is because every time that discussion comes up with the top players on the PGA Tour, they always talk about getting rid of Greg Norman, right? Who is the CEO.
Right.
He's the ex-PGA player.
That's right.
But he's the CEO of the LIV Golf Tour.
There's a beef there, man.
Yeah, so
they can't stand him for some reason.
Yeah. And that goes back even before these current golfers and in that relationship. You know, he's had beef for years, for decades there in the PGA Tour. But it sounds as if it can happen, and that they wanted to happen. They just need this guy to go to have those conversations. What those conversations are right now, or those disagreements are right now, I have no idea. Right. But I think eventually there will be some sort of merger or some sort of, because there's, as I mentioned, there's other tours out there globally that play well with the PGA. What it would look like, I don't know, but I think it can happen. Gotcha. It needs to happen. It needs to happen.
I think it needs to happen too. It's kind of what you said. And if for no other reason, they hold each other accountable to where we can have the best golf on a weekly basis. Yeah. You know, it's not like the NBA or something like that, where, you know, there's 30 teams in the NBA. You can't have this other league out there, because the talent would be so spread thin. Golf is different. It's individual sport. There's a lot of them. There are still a lot of quality golfers, and globally, you know, you can't just think about it's just in America. Globally, there's still tons of good golfers, top-notch golfers, and you can have 2 separate leagues and they can coexist. I was kind of the same way, man, thinking the exact same thing. So I appreciate you bringing that to the attention. I also appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you for kind of keeping us up to date on both of these leagues, because, like I said, it's a subject that I think a lot of people they want to tip their toe in, but they don't know a whole lot. I was that person. It's like, I think I know a little bit about this, but I don't know for sure. And the main thing is, can they coexist? I think you're 100% right, man. I think they can. Tell me what you got going on, Ian. I appreciate you jumping on. Give us a little bit as far as what you do and what you got going on.
All right. So I started a golf company 5 years ago, Dalvin Golf Solutions, out of Tampa, Florida, but we provide services nationally. You may see us in Miami. You may see us in New York. You may see us in Seattle, Kansas City. We do a lot of events in Kansas City, all the way down to Los Angeles. But I got in the game of golf, as I mentioned earlier, in my mid-30s because everything else hurt to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I know I wasn't going to be on PGA Tour or anything like that, but working in corporate America, there was a lot of executives that played golf. And just looking at them, I'm like, I know I can beat this guy. If I just took the time to learn the game, this guy isn't all that great. But, and, I started to really practice and things like that, but, and starting to play better, with people at work. But then, I was introduced to this technology, this TrackMan technology. They use it on PGA Tour. A lot of the top golfers live in PGA. They use it for practice, for game improvement, club fitting, and things like that. I wanted it for myself to help improve my game until I saw that price tag. I'm like, yeah. I'm not going on tour, so there's no way I'm gonna purchase anything like that. But I had this nagging thought that, hey, there's a lot of people out there like me who just want their numbers, who needs to understand, how far they're hitting the ball. They may not want instruction or anything like that. And I looked at it and I was like, you know what? I can start a business, with just buying one of these units. And that was back in 2017, and we've grown significantly since then. Not only do we do a lot of things for golf tournaments. When we see us travel, we're all over the country providing a great experience using this technology, again, that they use on PGA Tour for these other kind of like nonprofit events. We do a lot of pro-am, celebrity amateur events for the PGA Tour, for the Korn Ferry Tour, for the Champions Tour. We have pop-up miniature golf. Right. A lot of people start or get introduced to the game of golf through mini golf when they're kids. So we can set up a mini golf course anywhere. Right? We've done a lot of corporate events with mini golf. We have golf simulators as well. So it mimics the same feel, the same visuals as on a golf course, but now you're hitting in this simulator using real clubs, real golf balls, and just this projected golf course on the screen. So we do a lot of that as well. And then we have something called Splash Golf, where we set up a driving range on the waterfront, just pop up. We have floating targets out there. We use biodegradable golf balls. That's great for the environment. But everything that we do is golf related. It doesn't have to be a golf event. But it is golf, and it's always fun.
Where can we find this information, online or social media? Tell us where we can find you, man.
All right. So let me turn it. Oh, which way? This way. Yeah. All right. Dialed In Golf. Right there. That's
there you go.
Company. There you go. This is our logo. DialedInGolfSolutions.com.
All right.
DIALEDIN golfsolutions.com. Instagram, Facebook, Dialed In Golf, Twitter, Dialed Golf. But we're out there. Check us out.
Gotcha. All right, man. I appreciate you joining in, man. We will have you back very soon. Thank you.
Hey, thanks.